Pope Francis, the first Latin pope and a transformative figure in the Catholic Church, has died at the age of 88 after a prolonged illness. 9 candidates have declared for Albuquerque's mayoral run. A new Bill of Rights has been introduced for protected persons in New Mexico. An inmate with autism has died at the Bernalillo County Metropolitan Detention Center, and 3 Inspector General reports have been released, but 6 more are still awaiting approval. From the Albuquerque Journal, this is the leading news. I'm Gino Gutierrez. It's Monday, April 21st, and I'll have more on those stories in a few moments, plus a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast on the other side of this break.
This episode is brought to you by the Kirtland Partnership Committee. For 30 years, we've been dedicated to supporting, growing, and preserving the Kirtland National Security Complex. We work tirelessly to enhance military readiness, foster community partnerships, improve quality of life, and promote economic development right here in New Mexico. Join us in our mission to ensure that Kirtland remains a cornerstone of national security and a key provider of quality jobs and investment for all of Greater Albuquerque. Together, we can make a powerful impact. Kirtland Partnership Committee, proudly shaping the future of our national security for 30 years.
Pope Francis, the first Latin American pope and a transformative figure in the Catholic Church, has died at the age of 88 after a prolonged illness. Admitted to a hospital in February with respiratory complications that progressed to double pneumonia, Francis passed away on April 21st after 38 days of hospitalization. His 12-year papacy, marked by humility, compassion, and sweeping reforms, deeply reshaped the Catholic Church's tone and priorities. Born Jorge Mario Bergoglio in Buenos Aires, Argentina, Francis was the first Jesuit pope, the first from the Americas, and the first to take the name of St. Francis of Assisi, symbolizing his commitment to the poor, the environment, and simplicity. He famously lived in a modest Vatican hotel rather than the Apostolic Palace and wore orthotic shoes instead of the traditional red papal footwear. From his first words as pope to kissing the disfigured, meeting with migrants, and challenging global inequity, Francis set a pastoral people-first tone that departed sharply from his predecessors. He extended a hand to the LGBTQ+ Catholics, reformed annulment rules, and opened the door to blessings for same-sex marriages, brought women into significant Vatican roles, including voting rights at bishops' synods. While upholding Catholic doctrine on issues like abortion and male-only priesthood, he focused on mercy over judgment, coining the famous phrase, quote, "Who am I to judge?" He made climate action a moral imperative, condemned capitalism's exploitation of the poor, and called for a, quote, "poor church for the poor." He brokered a controversial deal with China on bishop appointments, became the first pope to visit Iraq and the Arabian Peninsula. He also prioritized countries on the margins of global power. Despite his empathetic approach, Francis struggled with the church's handling of clergy sexual abuse. He faced sharp criticism for initially discrediting abuse victims in Chile, but later reversed course and apologized. He also took significant disciplinary actions, including the deflocking of ex-Cardinal Theodore McCarrick. He also led federal reform at the scandal-ridden Vatican Bank and oversaw the conviction of Cardinal Angelo Bucco for embezzlement. Yet the legal processes exposed systematic flaws and inner power struggles within the Vatican. Francis's inclusive policies and economic critiques drew fierce opposition from conservative Catholics. His restrictions on Latin Mass, openness to divorced Catholics receiving sacraments, and emphasis on environmental and social justice earned him labels like, quote, heretic from critics. U.S. Cardinal Raymond Burke became a prominent opponent, and Francis eventually sanctioned him. Nonetheless, Francis remained largely silent in the face of criticism, favoring quiet persistence over confrontation. Despite his declining health, including lung surgery in youth, colon surgery in 2021, and using a wheelchair later in life, Francis continued to travel and champion the marginalized. His papacy stood on the foundation of the Beatitudes, advocating for the meek, the merciful, and the poor. He is remembered for trying to shift the church towards a more inclusive, compassionate institution, one that sought to heal rather than judge. In Francis's words, the church was, quote, "a field hospital after battle," and through his leadership, he strove to make it a sanctuary for everyone. In other headlines from the newsroom, the race for Albuquerque mayor is heating up with 9 candidates filing to run, a large enough field that a runoff election is likely if no one secures more than 50% of the vote. However, each candidate must first gather 3,000 voter signatures by June 21st to officially get on the ballot. The collection of those signatures began this past Saturday. Here's a quick snapshot of the candidates. Incumbent Mayor Tim Keller is seeking a 3rd consecutive term. His priorities are reducing crime and homelessness, homelessness and focusing on redevelopment and housing. Luis Sanchez, a current city councilor and former police officer. Sanchez is a vocal critic of Keller who advocates for safer neighborhoods and a comprehensive homeless solution. Alexander Ubales, the former U.S. attorney for New Mexico, has entered the race with a focus on public safety and increasing housing by eliminating red tape. Mei Ling Jaramillo has a background in economic development and highlights crime, housing, addiction, job growth, and term limits for the mayor's office. Patrick Saez ran for mayor in 2021 and state office in 2024. He's campaigning on public safety, better education, and sustainable economic growth. Eddie Valeria is a retired firefighter and former California fire chief. His platform includes safety, youth support, small business development, and government transparency. Alpena Adar is a human resources professional who wants to reduce juvenile crime, create jobs, and improve quality of life in the city. Darren White, a former Bernalillo County sheriff, has emphasized crime reduction, homelessness solutions, and making government more efficient. And rounding up the field, Brian Fager, running on what appears to be a satirical campaign, suggests a, quote, mental health emergency and proposes an Albuquerque subway. With crime, homelessness, and economic uncertainty dominating local concerns, the crowded field sets the stage for a competitive and potentially historic election. In 2024, over 5,100 New Mexicans had court-appointed legal guardians, with more men, 57%, than women, 43%, under guardianship. Increasingly, the largest group wasn't the elderly, but adults aged 31 to 50, highlighting that guardianship is just not an issue for seniors. 4 people under guardianship were over 100 years old. Guardianship is used as a last resort for individuals deemed unable to make decisions for themselves, often due to disability, injury, or illness. While most guardians are family members, about 25% were professionals paid to manage personal and financial affairs. Just a few years ago, New Mexico lacked consistent tracking of guardianship cases. Since 2018, however, major reforms have improved oversight and transparency. This follows concerns about abuse and exploitation of the system. These reforms include routine data collection and stronger safeguards for those under guardianships, now referred to as, quote, protected persons. A key change is the introduction of a guardianship Bill of Rights backed by the state Supreme Court. This document outlines 21 rights for protected persons, including the right to hire a lawyer, the right to attend court hearings and express concerns, the right to request changes to their guardianship or guardian, and the right to be assessed to see if any rights can be restored. Justice Sharon Bacon, a leader in these reforms, emphasized the importance of ensuring protected persons are treated with dignity and can understand their rights. While some legislative proposals for future improvements failed this year, Bacon said the state has become a national leader in guardianship reform. Stephen Grule, a 33-year-old man with autism, died Friday while in custody at Albuquerque's Metropolitan Detention Center. He was found unresponsive around 8:15 a.m. and was pronounced dead at 8:41 a.m. by staff from the University of New Mexico Health Systems. MDC officials have not yet released the cause of death, and his family was told there were no signs of violence. An autopsy is currently pending. He had been incarcerated since January 2024, facing charges of battery and burglary. While the accusations including assaulting a man with a tire iron and crashing into a bank, his attorney Amy Williams describes him as deeply remorseful and one of the most compassionate clients she had ever worked with. He was diagnosed with autism and declared incompetent to stand trial in October, with a psychiatrist stating he had the, quote, functional capacity of a child. A hearing was held the day before his death to determine if he was dangerous and should be sent to a mental health facility or if he could safely be released to his mother's care with a treatment plan. A final decision had not been made, and Gurriel was returned to his cell. His death marks the 3rd at MDC this year and the 35th since 2020, highlighting long-standing concerns about medical care and oversight at the jail. MDC has gone through 2 for-profit medical providers before transitioning to UNMH in mid-2023. Williams emphasized that the jail was never appropriate for Grule, given his mental health and development needs. She criticized the delay in addressing his case, saying it robbed him of a chance to receive proper treatment. Williams added that fellow inmates even showed more compassion than the system that was meant to care for him. And for the second time in a month, Albuquerque's Accountability and Government Oversight Committee has delayed releasing multiple investigation reports from the Office of Inspector General, drawing concerns over transparency. The committee only approved 3 of 9 completed OIG reports at its latest meeting, deferring the other 6, some of which reportedly have been ready for months. The meetings are closed to the public under city ordinance, and Inspector General Melissa Sansifersan has previously urged the full release of the reports, stating they involve, quote, fraud, waste, or abuse that affects the city. Since Stan's 4-year term ends in June, although she may seek reappointment, the city is also soliciting new applicants for the role. By ordinance, the committee can approve, defer, or reject OIG reports. Once approved, the reports do become public. Chair Victor Griego, a CPA, defended the delays, saying the committee had, quote, multiple concerns about the quality and accuracy of the investigation, and wanted to maintain high standards before public release. The 3 release reports approved on April 14th revealed an issue with an employee's parking validation, $18,587 in lost or unaccounted city property, and wasteful spending of $55,827 on unused office renovation designs, where 3 different city managers ordered 3 different designs for the same project. The OIG, a nonpartisan watchdog, investigates complaints of fraud, abuse, waste, nepotism, and misconduct. The oversight of this office lies with the 5-member committee appointed by the mayor and city council. It includes professionals from finance, management, and law enforcement. Because it's considered a management committee, it's not bound by the state's Open Meetings Act, allowing these proceedings to occur outside of public view, something critics argue hinders accountability, especially when significant misconduct might be at stake. If you like hearing all of the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal here on the Leading News, consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal. You can check our show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription and keep up with all the latest news from New Mexico's leading news source. Now taking a look at Albuquerque's weather forecast. Today you can expect mostly sunny skies with a high near 75, and as for this evening, partly cloudy with a low around 43. To keep up with all the latest news from the Albuquerque Journal, you can visit our website at abqjournal.com. That's the Leading News. I'm Gino Gutierrez. We'll be back tomorrow.